Hello, friends. Welcome to Worldbuild with us, the podcast where we create fantastical worlds with help from you, our listeners. My name is Rob Hilferty, and I'm here with jackbooted juggalo, Chris Prunty.
Whoop, whoop. Also, that was a mistake of my past.
And I will continue to bring it up for
child's
every
mistake.
J episode.
Every J episode.
Yes, of course. In our last episode, we talked about nation states, introducing the peace-loving Path of Thorns and the forlorn yet vengeful Council of Law. We also introduced the New World-based famine that's devastating crops, and the world's first schism, and all the mayhem that those are causing. In today's episode, we continue our talk about nation states, adding a few more and introducing some historical events to the world of 1,000 gods. Chris, before we start today's episode, I would just like to say that we have been awaiting the construction that's right outside my apartment to end for the last 45 minutes to an hour or so. And it's just not stopping.
Not sure if you can hear it.
Yeah, hopefully I will be able to edit it out. But man, there is a compressor that has been going on for hours and hours. And we just said, screw it. We'd rather create a podcast and get it out on our normally scheduled time, which is Friday, and just get it out and have it be done with. Yeah, we've been very consistent with our times. Friday. So anyway, Chris, today we were supposed to come to Worldbuild with us with at least one nation state and some historical events, and I've kind of done that. What? I mean, whatever. No big deal. It's not like I'm getting married next week. And it's not like I have finals, or not finals, but I definitely have papers to write and homework to do. And
Did we ask for results or excuses?
I believe that, excuses don't matter as long as you get results. And by God, you're getting results today.
All right.
I can't wait to show you my totally OC do not steal nation state that I got for you today. I don't have a name for it, and it's basically half written, but it's not as bad as yours is going to be.
Wow,
so go
fuck
ahead.
you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the nation state that I came up with, their god is a god of purity.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, already treading into dangerous territory.
Oh, trust me, I thought about that. I wrote down some notes and I'm like, yeah. Oh, I really want to stay away from certain things.
So
I want to go deeper into it?
So you were going to go with purity, and what did you end up going with instead?
No. I did end up going with purity, but I was going with purity of mind, body, and action.
Okay, so we're talking about monks, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I feel like everything that we've discussed so far, we haven't even alluded towards anything that could be monkish or more about perfection of body and and also I just keep on listening to Wu-Tang and keep on. I watched a bunch of old kung fu movies.
Yeah,
it was just
that's totally fair. We went and saw the RZA a couple of weeks ago for my bachelor party, and oh my God, was it fucking amazing!
I want more movies that have the soundtrack and riff done by Wu-Tang.
Yeah, and oh my God,
or just RZA, just
RZA. Yeah, that's fine.
It sounds wrong now that I say just RZA.
Whatever, he's the mastermind behind the Wu-Tang.
He is the
Clan
abbot.
anyway. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Wu-Tang forever. Moving back onto your nation state. Yeah.
So I wanted them to be a group that was obsessed with purity, and I wanted it to be part of their rituals and part of their society is anything that you do, you should do perfect. So there's plenty of people who do things hundreds of times and constantly throw out their work or constantly redo it. They're like, no, it's not ready yet. And so their society has kind of, even though they're all about perfection, has halted because it's very hard to innovate when you have to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be also a bit of a primal or a tribal-like society that cares about perfection. Because if you do the basics perfect, that everything that they do, their simple lifestyle, is also playing into the monk life.
Okay, so they're basically vow of poverty, like more or less, like no riches, or is everything they own like aesthetically perfect and like the best quality you're ever going to find. So yeah, they might be in robes and stuff like that, but their robes are going to last them forever. And, you know,
Yeah.
how does food work? Do they just starve?
So I was thinking about that and how food could play into it, but I was thinking they don't eat out of luxury because luxury you can screw up. Whereas if you eat something that is just for sustenance, like some sort of
So we're going full Joe Rogan where it's like, I'm not going to eat carbs because those don't have a purpose. It's more a matter of how nutrient dense can I get my food to be the perfect physical specimen.
yeah, and then in not to get into it, but they're a nation of bodybuilders.
Okay, sure. I mean,
Biohacking them bodies. No.
yeah, I mean, why not? I'm assuming they're intermittent fasters and they're all keto. That would explain why
Sure,
they're...
keto.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But really, one of the other things that I wanted to do is the OCD-ness of perfection and the fact that they will do something over and over again to possibly no gain, just because I wanted it to be kind of the no one fears the kick that you've done one time, but the kick that you've done 10,000 times kind of thing.
I have been watching old Kung Fu movies.
I have
Yeah.
been watching old Kung movies.
How did they deal with failure?
Failure is something that must be repaired with penance.
Okay.
So you have to go through a ritual of
Well,
what did I fuck up? How can I undo this?
Well, the reason I ask is because, I mean, perfection is all about failing a million times until the million and first you get it right. Mm-hmm. So...
Oh, you mean
yeah.
in trying to find perfection?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's more of when they think they've attained perfection and then they fall short that they have to do the act of penance. As for...
So they think that once they've achieved perfection and then they do it again but fail.
That's where it's just like, my God was not with me. I was not pure of mind. I was not pure of body.
Okay.
I must purify myself. I must put myself into the mercy of my God so that he may bless me again with perfection.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. Sorry, continue on. Go ahead.
And I was thinking that they would be very insular, very isolated. They don't like dealing with other groups or other people. Mountaintop monastery kind of thing.
Okay,
Really falling into the whole monk vibe.
sure.
And one of the things that I wanted them to be is they are unintentionally arrogant. Not in the sense of they go to others when they do interact with them. And it just like in the voice of, you're doing that wrong. You're doing that wrong. They correct them. They help others find perfection. And in a sense, I took on the idea of the way that French will tell you how to do something.
Sure.
Or like, no.
Specifically cooking.
Yes.
Mostly everything else, but very specifically cooking.
Yes. Only in this sense, it's with other things because they're not too big about food. They're more about purity of mind and body and
Sure.
not eating, not lusting after things.
Okay, so in a lot of ways, they look at, like, let's say that they're visiting another country, and they look at someone who's kind of fat, and they're like, oh, let me tell you the ways of how to eat right, brother.
But not
Or they're
even in
like-
like the insulting way. Just like, hey, do you want to get something to eat? Sure, here you go. I made us some salad. It was just like, no, I was thinking of sandwiches. Like, given your weight, I thought that would be a bad idea. So I'm going to give you these vegetable salads so that you may.
Are they just? Is this just a country of mansplainers? Is this what you're about to tell me right now?
No, they have the best intentions.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's nothing but nice, guys. Yeah, I did want them to be, since we're not doing the politics episode, they don't interact with people well. They like to stay to themselves. If they deal with others, it's more of a pilgrimage to just like, is anyone
They're
doing...
straight up Shaolin monks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm cool with that. This is not a knock on this at all. I'm totally fine with having some Shaolin monks. So I'm assuming, based on the movie that you and I watched recently, that there's probably 35 to 37 chambers, somewhere in between there. And I'm imagining, so they're like up in the mountains, and then they...
Oh, I think you mean the test of perfection.
Right, yeah. So they go through the 36 chambers, and then they come out a God-pacted aesthetic. Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Okay. So to them, attaining perfection is attaining God Pact status.
Yeah. Because you are worthy of perfection.
So what does that? So if you're already perfect, what does the God Pact offer?
It keeps you there.
What does that mean?
So imagine if you didn't really need to work out to keep your body fit. If you didn't need to eat to keep your body fed. If you didn't need sleep anymore.
But wouldn't that just engender like sloth and laziness?
Not with these people. That's why you have to go through the test of perfection.
Okay, so it essentially just it gives you like a basement floor level of your physical and mental abilities. I'm assuming that you are basically so let's say for
But imagine
example,
someone who's passed all these tests. You are like an Olympic athlete who doesn't have to worry about maintaining.
and I'm assuming that this lasts forever or until you die of old age, even though it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like you look 21 for the rest of your life and you're like that physically fit for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And I doubt that you die of like a heart attack. It's just
The only heart attack they die of is from the fucking 5-finger death palm strike where it's like, oh yeah, that's the heart attack that you just
you get 5
experienced.
steps. Use them wisely.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Also, people shit on Kill Bill Volume 2 way too much because it's like, oh, he dies because of a special move that she learns. It's like, dude, you obviously missed the whole point of that movie if you think that it's whatever. Moving away from that. Also, Pai Mei is awesome. I fucking love Pai Mei in that movie. Continue on.
So speaking of perfect nations, what was yours?
Oh boy. Yeah, that is a great segue, Chris. Yeah, I actually have been struggling a little bit with my nation state, and I've got a couple of ideas that I kind of want to run with, but the one that I think I find the most interesting is a nation state that has had a history of political turmoil. One that essentially rises, falls, and then rises again. Kind of like yeast. Or maybe some kind of phoenix, I don't know.
The god of yeast.
Actually, and here's the thing. My nation state is still kind of incomplete. I have a strong idea of what I want to do, but I was hoping that you could help me out with parts of it. Because I have an idea, and I'm not sure if I like it enough to go with it, but I was hoping that you and maybe the listeners could help me kind of workshop the rest of it while we're doing this.
Maybe you at home can help.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually... So, tell me what you guys think if we should start doing this on Twitch. Because some of the comments that I've received and some ideas that I've had in general is that we should record these shows live with Twitch so we can allow for instant fan feedback right away.
Okay, I see what you
and
mean.
have them throw ideas at us and whatnot, and then kind of create a edited version that gets published a day or two later, which is typically how long it takes me for me to edit this.
Would there have to be video?
Yeah, I mean, we could do video.
That would involve pants.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually wearing decent pants. You're just wearing scrubs. And you know what they say. We don't want no scrubs. Yeah. Anyway, if you think that we should start doing Twitch and stuff like that, please let us know. You can send us an email at worldbuildwithus@gmail.com. Even if it's not about Twitch, if you just want to send us a comment or an idea, we've gotten a bunch of really great feedback so far. So by all means, send it our way. Anyway, back to my nation state. So I had this idea. I was doing some research. I read and I'm listening to podcasts, and I was thinking about this idea of the Inquisition, right? And I was thinking about this idea of Oliver Cromwell. And the two kind of mixed together for me, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Because in my mind, even with magic, I cannot justify a god of secrets or a god of subtlety or something like that accruing and gathering power as long as there are warlike, because in my mind, right? Because essentially what I was thinking of is what gets you an advantage will give you a boost early on, right? Like if you read something like Guns, Germs, and Steel, you understand that geography and the resources and materials that you have play a huge, huge role in how well your country does in the long run, right? So that's in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, even with God Pact magic, right? Even with magic that dramatically alters how stuff works, you're still going to have to worry about warlike neighbors. you still have to worry about, okay, yeah, I might be some kind of perfect god of engineering, and yeah, my tools work better. That's not going to help when the god of fire is literally at your door burning everything down. They're just, like your perfect tools making the perfect watershed is just going to be the perfect
Pile of
kindling.
ash.
Yeah, it's the perfect kindling for them. With that in mind, I had to think, I'm like, okay, well, how can we get some kind of more subtle, some kind of more politically motivated or politically
Machiavellian?
yeah, some kind of political Machiavellian organization on top? Well, that would mean that they would have to watch a nation state grow, expand, become powerful, and then a coup happens. So in my mind, that's exactly what happens. We have some kind of early warlike nation state. And ironically enough, my first idea, and this will come into play later, is to have it be some kind of fire-related nation. The reason
Everything changed.
Oh, no. No. I had a backup plan, so we're good.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. But that was my basic idea, is to have some kind. And again, I'll get into this later. So the basic idea is have this Fire Nation, if you will, rise up, become powerful because again they have a natural advantage with their God Pack magic, and then once that's over, or rather once they've grown to the point where it's, I don't know, like they're kind of comfortable and they're
A series of weak emperors.
not even necessarily that, but I mean, it's hard to constantly expand, right? So the idea behind it is they're going to reach a point where they're growing so thin that no matter how much territory they take, they're still going to be weak. They still can't cover all of their land, right? So the idea is at that point, there is another faction that comes in and a coup happens. The royalty, or rather the priesthood, the nobility and the priesthood are scattered, which means that the Fire Nation loses a lot of its religious identity. And over the next generation or two, I would say one generation, that coup starts to purge remnants of the fire god from their nation. And so you start seeing, so that's where the Inquisition comes in, where it's not just a matter of, okay, we've now gained power, all hail the new god. It's a matter of, no, now we have to seek out and snuff out the remaining or the other Fire Nation people who are still loyal to their god and whatnot. So I liked that aspect of it. I liked the idea that this, and again, this forces a kind of change in the mindset behind the people in power, where they are scattered to the winds, they're forced out of their homeland, and now what was once an incredibly warlike people are now like, okay, we're going to sit down and we're forced to negotiate with our neighbors for peace and safety. So we're not immediately tossed back into our old homeland and persecuted. So there's some diplomacy happening, and they're basically forced to learn social skills for the first time. And it tempers what was once some kind of really fiery or aggressive spirit that they once had.
So they're a bit more smoldering.
Right. For example, and again, I hate you, I might be going for something that's not fire, but
Because I said everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
among other things, yes. But anyway, getting back to it, I'm thinking that this event happens, and then I'd say less than a generation. This is probably about 15 to 20 years at most, right? They come back, they have allies, and they reclaim their previously couped upon homeland, and something happens. Maybe the god itself was damaged or harmed, or maybe as a result of all that's happened, they're like, yeah, you know what? We didn't need it before, but your help and everything, we're going to divine coalescence now, because we think that we have changed enough where this is more to our benefit. And so it went from the god of fire to the god of ashes. Yes. So that's my general idea that I have behind it, but I'm still not satisfied with the God Pact and necessarily.
So you really combine like the history, I feel, and the nation.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my intention with this because I wanted to go with a historical event because again I'm a big history nerd. I love history. I mean, anyway, yeah, I love history is my point. And I wanted to kind of infuse some stuff that I find interesting or at least noteworthy. And again, if we're looking back on the time period, I mean, 1642 is when Oliver Cromwell's rebellion happens, and that's basically the time set that we're looking into. And then you look at the long-lasting implications of that. I think that's fascinating enough to see. And I'm like, you know what, let's do that, but like have it reversed where we see the nation has already changed into something that's been tempered. Plus, I like the idea that this is basically going to be a larger empire that's going to be at play, and it's going to have a lot of kind of fingers in political machines, so to speak.
I also like the aspect of going back to the Inquisition and the fact that they're being rooted out. I would like for it to be almost like a mysterious thing of like either assassination, people are pointing fingers at each other, which means political groups do not ally with one another or investigate what's going on. They're like, oh, no, it's those people from the eastern border assassinating those from the south.
Right. And the other thing that I didn't really kind of have in mind was what happened to the the regime that started the coup. Because I'm imagining that this is some kind of secondary city with their own patron god, and they're just like, hey, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. Now is the time to strike. And for a while, you know, you have these separatists, and they have their own abilities, and you know, they don't do a terrible job of running the empire. But it's more a matter of they come back and like, what was their God Pact like? What happens to them? I think that's kind of that's where I didn't really have a chance to brainstorm or anything like that. And I also don't know what kind of God I really wanted to go with because again, fire and ashes is interesting, right? I like the idea of it.
But what turns fire into ash? God of wood.
No, it goes out. That's the idea behind it, is that this fire essentially got snuffed. And so what happens is it comes back in it's kind of it's ash. It's not necessarily as powerful, but it doesn't mean that it's not dangerous. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be effective. That's the general idea that I had. But I think, and also because I'm like, look, we talked so much about fire in our first episode, we had to have some kind of we had to have some kind of fire god at some point. But more seriously, I wanted to think about something more interesting than that. Because I like the idea that we have some kind of god of strength or war or might, and then it gets beaten and it comes back and it's changed. I wanted something that is warlike but tempered. I wanted something that is now no longer just all about ferocity. It's all about cunning now too. So it goes from strength to tactics, that kind of thing. And again, I'm just unsatisfied with fire in general. Like, I want something else there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a cool idea. It's just that there's something that's not sitting right. It's like it's an incomplete idea, and I'm missing something there.
I see what you mean. I could see that maybe part of it in the fact that you were talking lightly about the god of secrets. Secret is unknown. Secrets are darkness, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Darkness mixed with fire. I could see ash being born out of that, or a smoldering fire of some kind.
Well, actually, now that...
the Inquisition coming in, the assassination plots, the secretive nature of this other group.
With that in mind, what we could do is have something that's basically like, okay, this was fire, and then it wasn't a okay, so maybe what we're working with here is when they come back to reclaim their homeland, when they come back to take back the crown, maybe they're like, we're not going to cause an inquisition anymore. We see that we're beaten, but we'll give it back to you bloodlessly. No problem whatsoever. You just have to create a divine coalescence with our God.
Suing for peace.
Yeah. And I think that...
And the tempered fire goes and just like, yes, all right.
No, it's not even that. It's more a matter of like, look, it's quite likely that you will fight and win. However, look at what we've done to the kingdom. Look at what we've done in your absence. We can create a deal here. And it's kind of like a coerced kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
Do you want to fight a few years of guerrilla warfare, of trying to snuff us out, of trying to find every cell, each time just springing up in another corner? Or would you like to come to the table where we can discuss things?
Oh, man. And I imagine that this is possibly even some kind of grand scheme. Like, this is
why we did it.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. This I'm more excited about. If it's a forced divine coalescence and this is all some master plan. And so
just as planned.
Oh, man. And not only that, I can see like the new king being crowned with like this crown of ashes. So it's like it's a literal crown that's just kind of vaguely smoking and there's like embers and stuff. Whereas before, I would imagine it was like a full flaming crown, making it look super badass and all that. But now it's like he looks so dour and he looks like he's got like just a fucking moody face on. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, I'm more into this idea
I also
now.
like the wordplay of it, just like, oh, what are you going to rule over? The ashes.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
Right.
Okay, problem is, Ashenborn Ashes, we're going to have to figure something out.
Well, that's where you could just add the smoldering fire or the Kingdom of Embers.
Hold up. Actually, Kingdom of Embers sounds really cool. Shelve that. Let's think about... I want that to be like a nickname maybe, because I want the fire people to come back and be like, look, we'll do the Divine Coalescence, but we're keeping the name. Because...
Whoa. We need title-headed. We'll take the Coalescence.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm totally okay with this. Okay. This is...
I like the spoken... stream of consciousness. It's always a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I had this idea, and I'm glad that we kind of workshopped it. I'm glad that, again, this is partially why we do this podcast, is because making this stuff up is super fun, and bouncing ideas off of each other is part of the fun that we have with this. Anyway, so I did, you're right, I did kind of roll my historical events into my nation, which I thought was what we were doing. That's fine.
No, it's okay. Mine... You can see where mine came from in this. Don't worry. I can easily bring it back. We can work at bringing it to it.
Okay, I have another historical event as well, but we're going to do that after yours because it's something that I feel like we've been missing. So let's go with yours first. Go.
So we have talked about rituals that fail. We have talked about how people are sometimes worried about doing them because they might not work out. I wanted to do it as not just one that failed.
Catastrophic failure.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's see what we got.
Unfinished ritual, something that was never completed. And not only did it leave all of their...
oh, this sounds awful already.
Yes.
This sounds awful already.
It left all of their followers stranded with no hope because their god was no longer there to protect them, because their god was stuck in the midst of the ritual. And it is now a torturous form of undeath and life, of where it is trying to complete this, but it can't. And so it keeps on like surging up and trying to do what it was meant to do and defend its followers. But now its followers are dead, but the ritual's still unfinished.
Is this some kind of a god of time? So it's literally caught in a time loop type thing?
Oh, that is good. I was literally not thinking about what kind of god it is, but
Good.
A god of time would work.
I actually like that because...
And that makes its followers now also trapped.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's way more interesting because they're also stuck in that same eternal loop. Imagine, holy shit.
The enemy or whoever they were fighting is also trapped?
No, well, maybe, but I'm just thinking, imagine that person who's living in that time loop and they've watched themselves age and die and then be reborn multiple times, like basically forever. The psychological toll that would take on you. Like you're not, even if somehow some great magical thing happens, it's basically like, oh yeah, we fixed it.
You'd be insane.
But they wouldn't even be people anymore. They'd just be horribly broken. Oh man, okay, so this is obviously some monument somewhere. This is like a dead city that's basically being played on repeat, right?
Yes.
Okay, continue on. This is super cool. I like this idea.
I want it to be that the last moments, the death rattle of the city and everything in it is just stuck on replay in a way that
Evil Groundhog Day. Evil Groundhog Day where no one can change and
Correct.
nothing can change.
But it can be observed, and it's just so
man.
people can go there and look at it and just be like, oh my God. And imagine, I part of the other thing that I wanted to do, since it was, now that we're doing time, is maybe slow-mo, where it's playing out again and again, and these people have to live through it, and people have to witness it. And that is also why it's become a thing, because now people fear rituals, because you have this example.
Oh, and you can watch the ritual get fucked up over and over again. Oh, man. Okay, so here's the thing, too. You know what I'm thinking of now? I'm thinking of in the future, like now it's a horrifying, like, okay, you watch it, right? What's to stop it from becoming a tourist attraction? What's to stop it from being essentially another Pompeii? Because people go and like, yeah, look at all those dead people who were snuffed out in Vesuvius and whatnot. What's to stop that from happening? Is there a possibility that anyone who now approaches it and starts to be
Gets
involved
sucked into it?
also gets sucked in? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I would like that. And no matter who gets sucked in, the outcome always seems the same.
Yeah. Because even if you go in with the intention of finishing or ending the ritual, okay, that's a very cool idea. That's a very, very cool idea. I mean, it in terms of history, it instills fear into, people's...
I wanted the atom bomb moment for the rituals of where people are just like, this is not something we do lightly.
And that's not something that you come back from, literally, like in this case. Okay, that's a really cool historical event.
Yay.
Okay, here's my second historical event, besides the ones that I kind of built into my nation state. We do not have a war. We have battles. We have skirmishes. We don't have a war yet. And I think that's really important. Because I don't know if you've ever read a history book before.
It's mostly peace.
There's a couple of wars in there. I've read a couple here and there. There's a guy wrote a book, Something and Peace. It was a long one. Didn't actually finish it. But I'm pretty sure it has a lot to do with war. Tolstov, I think his name is. I can't remember. No, seriously though. I think that we should really talk about how war, or at least let's talk about a war that's going on. Because we don't have one.
Yeah, and it will also be a great segue into politics because...
Right, because our next episode is going to be about politics. So this is actually something that I was workshopping, because we have our nation of the feast and famine, right? So we have the empire of feast and famine, and they had a huge advantage for being the first divine coalescence. I want to keep it that way. And I also want them to be a really long-lasting empire. And only now are they starting to wane. I see them as an empire that lasted and have reached their apex and have reached the large, or the
They're the Ottoman Empire.
That's exactly the correlation that I had before. Did you read my notes?
No.
Okay.
I also like history.
No, but yes, that's exactly the idea that I had in mind, is that they're the Ottoman Empire.
Sick man of Europe.
They're basically extremely expansionist, and not only that, but they're also pretty good at what's it called? They're also pretty good at the administration side of empire building. So they allow autonomous states to exist. Like the Ottomans had Egyptians. And they're just like, yeah, do whatever you want.
Do your thing. Just pay your taxes.
Oh, wait a minute. You're trying to... Okay, now we're going to come in with the army and snuff you guys out. I want it to be like that because in my mind, Hadassah is also part of the empire of feast and famine. But they're left semi-autonomously. Yes.
And they get benefits from that. Just like, oh, look, technological advances, because we let them do their thing.
Right. And not only that, but Hadassah gets... security because they don't have to worry about military force, and more importantly they also get exotic materials to work with. So yeah, we're going to create a monument to the empire of feast and famine, but at the same time we're going to be getting rare materials that we can then craft and create new engineering projects with.
Just gonna want to put a pin in this. What is the Empire's name? That's something that we should...
The Empire of Feast and Famine?
You think it would just be that?
No, I think that we'll come up with something better. But again, this is not the place to be doing
I know. It's
proper
just
names.
more of...
I think this is placeholder name for now.
Placeholder name.
Yeah.
Untitled Goose Game.
Oh my... Have you played Untitled Goose Game?
No, I haven't.
It's so fucking fun. Oh my god, dude. It's great. Lauren and I have played it. It's super fun.
So you want the first God War? Because I want to believe that maybe... Oh, no. The second God War.
Why the second?
Because the first God War, they had reached an uneasy peace where people are like, all right, yeah, we don't need to fight. And then the Divine Coalescence, and it was just like, oh, I have an advantage. I'm going to fuck you all up.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about that because I'm assuming that the Empire of Feast and Famine has created expansionist wars already.
Yeah, maybe they go in waves.
Yeah, exactly. But seriously, I can totally see that being a thing. But in my mind, I was thinking that there is some other counter force that is existing that is essentially, that's acting as a bulwark to the rest of the world, where the Empire Feast and Famine starts to, slowly creep in. There's just this wall that they can't seem to crack. And initially, I was thinking that it could be our Empire of Ashes, or the Kingdom of Embers, or whatever. But in my mind, I'm like, because what stops total expansion from nations? It's other nations that are also trying to expand into their territory, or it's a lack of resources. It's like the Romans never stopped expanding because they thought that the people would, grow restless. And they always thought like, oh, well, as long as we have more territory to expand to, we'll have something to rally around. Right. Empire of Feast and Famine is very similar. So I guess, yeah, we are talking about those wars at that point. What do we want to do? Oh, actually, the other thing I might want to think about, the Council of Law that you created the last time, I can also see them acting as some kind of a bulwark to the rest of the nations as well.
I actually was seeing this to go into politics and everything, that the Council of Law would work kind of like a League of Nations, or at least help pave the way towards that. Not so much that they head it, but they're just like, all right, we all need to have a place where we agree upon these things, and they write the first God Versailles Treaty. Okay.
Actually, that is a better idea than I had. I like that. I like that a lot. It's kind of like the first non-aggression pact, so to speak, where this is where we start to see the beginnings of, like, hey, let's do this behind closed doors so we can talk about how we're going to divvy up expansions and stuff like that.
Especially with the fact that they aren't looking for more power. They're just like, yeah, can we open up a precinct in some of your... We'll obey whatever laws that you have in your nation. Mm-hmm. We just want to keep the peace. Well, they don't even have to be followers of our God. We'll just have one of our priests there to be just like, yep, all's above water.
So who's the counter, or who's the other half of this conflict then? Because the God of Feast and Famine is going and just consuming city after city. I mean, they're not consuming it like, the apotheosis would, but they're consuming it by subjugating, I suppose, is the better idea.
I believe it would make more sense that if, say, they don't understand the Divine Coalescence, that it wasn't well known, that it would then have to be somewhat like the Council of Law, where a bunch of gods got together and made an alliance of some sort.
Okay, so now you're talking about... Okay, I like how this is. So the Divine Coalescence, essentially, the first Divine Coalescence, essentially sparks what we know as nation states today, where it's like, oh, we have to form alliances, otherwise we will
What the hell are they doing?
Right.
Why are they so powerful? What can we do? All right, hey, we've been friends. Want to form...
We've been neutrals. I've been aware of your existence, and I haven't put a sword through you yet.
Yeah, for the most part, some of it is alliances of convenience. Others are where they are alliances of, hey, we we are a similar vein. We agree upon these things that we're both gods of I'm a god of rivers. You're a god of oceans. Do you want to be defeated and subjugated? No.
All right, cool. All right, so that's the inciting incident is, the divine coalescence, and then the expansionist war that begins as a result. Again, because part of what I wanted to create with war is I wanted to create rivals, and I wanted to create we hate them. Just like how like Greeks and Turks hate each other. I want something like that in our nation state. Maybe not as vicious, because man, that's pretty bad.
Think about it. Though there were these gods that brought the god of feast and famine to a standstill, other nations started to see it just like, well, I don't want to be the one odd out. So, hey, you want to ally? Hey, I noticed that these other countries by us are not becoming any sort of alliance. What if we were to expand and take their land?
Right. Yeah, and okay, so you're thinking that it's going to be unrelated. I'm totally fine with that. So who are we aiming for? Are we adding more nation states? Or because we have, what do we have already? We have your monks. You have Council of Law. We have honestly, the Path of Thorns doesn't exist in this timeline. It's I think that the Path of Thorns is fairly recent
development. Yeah.
So what are you thinking?
I don't know. I guess some one of the other nations that I was thinking of doing. We could do one nation state again. I feel like we need to populate this world with some nations. Okay.
So yeah, do you want to call it here, and then we'll come back next episode. We'll introduce
a nation state and politics.
Yeah, we'll introduce our final nation state, and we'll do history. Well, we did history this time. We'll do politics next time, and then we're kind of just whip stitching it all together as we go. Cool. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
All right.
Woo. Oh man, war is exhausting, and I'm glad that we got to do the whole Kingdom of Embers thing together. I think that was really fun. Yeah. Again, this is why I love doing this podcast, is just this exactly.
And for some reason, I suddenly want to play Dark Souls.
Oh man, I love Dark Souls. Oh, how's Bloodborne going, by the way?
Just great.
Yeah, you beat Gascoigne recently.
Yeah.
Chris is going through Bloodborne for the first time, and it's just I'm shedding a tear of joy with how happy it's making me, because it's one of my favorite games. I've probably played it through at least 5 times.
All strength.
Yeah, he's going all strength, which is what I did. I mean, I started Axe and then went to the Kirk Hammer, and I don't think I ever went away from the Kirk Hammer, except maybe to fuck around with the Logarius wheel.
Oh, is that the saw blade looking thing?
No. That's the whirligig. Is what
the wheel. Yes.
Yeah, it's like break upon the wheel type shit.
Okay,
yeah.
I can see that.
So where are you in Bloodborne?
I'm just farming the Executioner.
Are you still?
Hey, I'm still 30 hours.
All right. So, wow, that's very loud.
Well, it's...
All right, so
it's gotten even worse.
Yeah, the construction outside has now gotten worse, and I think that's a cue for us to end the podcast. I feel like we've done a good job.
Yeah,
we'll do Bloodborne Corner next episode as well.
Bloodborne Corner.
Yeah, Bloodborne Corner, and we'll see how Chris is doing with that 10-year-old game now.
Ow.
It's pretty old now.
Yeah, they're announcing PS5, so yeah.
Wow. Exactly.
Wow.
That game is so good. Anyway, I'm Rob. This is Chris. We have been Worldbuild with us. If you have any questions, comments, you can always email us at worldbuildwithus@gmail.com, or you can actually shoot us a message on Twitter. That should be Let's Worldbuild, and at Let's Worldbuild. We don't post on there often, but we're there. And until next time, where we're going to get political, we love you very much, and we'll see you then.
All right. Have a good day, and much love, homies.
Oh, also, if you could send Chris all sorts of shit about Bloodborne, that would be great. Just mock him for how bad he is at it.
I am not bad at it. Level 20 so long to